I'd like to welcome everybody here. First March meeting of your County Commissioner Board. If you do have electronic devices that make noise, if you'd silence those at this time, we'd appreciate it. Tonight, we're very pleased to welcome Pastor Chris Burns from Draper Pentecostal Holiness Church. He'll be delivering our invocation, and this will be followed immediately afterward by a Pledge of Allegiance. And Caroline Roseman is again with us, and we appreciate her leading the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would all stand for Pastor Burns to deliver our invocation.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for that you have allowed us to come together and conduct the business of our county. And we just thank you. Father, we ask you for several things. Lord, first we ask for wisdom. Lord, each one of us here needs wisdom in our daily lives. But Father, I ask for each commissioner that you grant them a special amount of wisdom to make the decisions that need to be made for our county, that will lead us forward, Father. Lord, I also pray for protection. Lord, there are protection from illness, Lord, protection from harm. Lord, there are many that are sick with the flu and different ailments, Lord. We just ask for your complete healing in each one, Father. Lord, we also ask that you keep us from harm, Lord. Let no danger come to us, Lord. Everyone from the smallest all the way to the oldest, Father. And Lord, tonight, as we go home, I pray that we all arrive home safely, Lord. And Father, we thank you for everything that you are doing for us. But Father, we thank you most for your Son who came and died for us and showed us the ultimate love and the ultimate sacrifice in his death on the cross. And Father, we pray these things in your Son's wonderful and holy and mighty and awesome name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Amen. And Caroline, if you come forward, if you face the flag and render the appropriate courtesy.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can you pull up John Morrison?
And thank you, Pastor Burns, for giving up your time and sharing with us. And Caroline, you were a quick fill-in, and you did a great job. Thank you very much for that. Folks, the commissioners have had the agenda for 11 or 12 days. They had a chance to review it. Any comments or motions concerning the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the agenda with the exception of item number 10.
I second.
Moved and second to approve the agenda minus item 10. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed by nay. Lance, I hope you're ready to read the proclamation, if you would, as we approve or proclaim March 2020 as Red Cross Month.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. March is American Red Cross Month, a time when we recognize the humanitarian organization that eases people suffering during life's emergencies in Rockingham County, across the United States and around the world. The Piedmont Triad Chapter has a long history of helping our neighbors in need by delivering shelter, care, and hope during disasters, making our communities safer through its life-saving home fire campaign, providing life-saving blood, teaching skills that save lives and support military veterans and their families. During this Red Cross Month, we thank and honor the selfless volunteers, dedicated employees, and generous supporters who make this compassionate work possible. Last year, 25 Piedmont Triad Chapter volunteers in Rockingham County helped 91 people affected by 28 home fires in Rockingham County by addressing their urgent needs like food and lodging and providing recovery support. Meanwhile, when large disasters like hurricanes, tornadoes, winter storms, wildfires, and floods devastated families in other parts of the country last year, 7 volunteers from Rockingham County were among the nearly 9,000 Red Cross workers, 90% of them volunteers, who left their homes to work alongside partners to provide refuge, food, relief items, emotional support, recovery planning, and other assistance. Meanwhile, the Red Cross continues to work with its partners to prevent fire tragedies through its national Home Fire campaign, which installed its 2 millionth free smoke alarm last year and has saved hundreds of lives across the country since launching 5 years ago. Additionally, in Rockingham County, the Red Cross collected 3,097 units of blood that could have saved as many as 9,291 lives, trained 359 people, life-saving skills in CPR, first aid, and AED training, and provided 123 emergency services to members of the armed forces and their families. We recognize the volunteer heroes in Rockingham County who make this work possible to help our neighbors when they need a helping hand. Every day, people in our community depend on the American Red Cross, whose life-saving mission is powered by the devotion of volunteers, generosity of donors, and partnership of community organizations. We dedicate the month of March to all those who support its vital work to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies. Now, therefore, the Rockingham County Board of Commissioners, by virtue of the authority vested in the Board by the Constitution, the laws of Rockingham County, and the state of North Carolina, do hereby proclaim March 2020 as Red Cross Month. We encourage all Americans to support this organization and its noble humanitarian mission. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set my hand the second day of March in the year of our 2020 and of Rockingham County, North Carolina. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. County Manager. Gentlemen, you've heard the proclamation. Do I hear a motion proclaiming that March 2020 will be American Red Cross Month?
So moved.
So moved. Second. And seconded. Further discussion? Hear no further discussion. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed by nay. Gentlemen, you've also had the consent agenda for the last 11 or 12 days. You've had a chance to look at it. The consent agenda contains items that are non-controversial. However, if anybody, public here or otherwise, has a question about them, they can contact our county manager, and he'll be glad to explain what's going on, and if they need further review, of course, it will come back to the board.
Make a motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by nay. Public comment. And we do have some public comment tonight. And Mr. Stephen Pulliam, if you come forward and give us your name again and address. And as you come forward, I'm going to ask Mr. Metzler to read our public comment procedure and policy.
Yes, Mr. Chair. The public comment period shall be for the purpose of allowing members of the public to present any matter pertaining to county business or items on the Board of Commissioners' agenda. Remarks shall be addressed directly to the Board of Commissioners and not to staff, the audience, or media. The chairperson shall open the public comment period. Any speaker who wishes to speak shall approach the podium and not speak from his or her seat. Each speaker shall clearly state his or her name and physical address when he or she approaches the podium. Any citizen desiring to present any matter concerning the services, policies, and affairs of Rockingham County shall be allotted 3 minutes. Citizens will be allowed to yield their time on a specific topic by utilizing one more attendee's time. This will allow no more than 6 minutes. I will time the speakers and notify the chairman of their limit. The time clock will start with 3 minutes unless yielded time to 6 minutes. You will hear a beep at 1 minute to alert you to wrap up your comments. If you already yield time or time is yielded to you, then please let the chairman know in advance. Speakers appearing before the Board of Commissioners will not be allowed to campaign for public office, promote private business ventures, or use language of a personal nature which insults or demeans any person or which, when directed at a public official, is not related to his or her official duties. The Board of Commissioners may accept written comments in lieu of oral statements. Written statements can be delivered to the County Manager's Office. Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Stephen, good to see you. You going to talk about Creek Week?
Yes, sir, I am. My name is Stephen Pulliam, Dan Riverkeeper. Our office is 221 North Glen in Stoneville. I'm here to ask the commissioners to proclaim the week of April 11th through the 18th as Creek Week in Rockingham County. In short, Creek Week is a week-long celebration of our waterways. At length, Creek Week is not one particular event, but an idea that may foster relationships between our beautiful resources and residents while also promoting all that the Dan River watershed has to offer. It's time to engage our communities and the respective civic, school, church, or other groups and challenge our residents to get outside, enjoy streams, parks, trails, and to leave the areas cleaner than they found them. It's an opportunity to speak with youth about the importance of properly disposing of rubbish, refuse, other pollutants, to point out storm drains because they all lead to our waterways. Litter and debris not only impacts the drainage and the feasibility of the processes of water treatment, it affects our wildlife, their habitats, tourism, economic development, and even the water that we all drink. We must instill the knowledge in our children that it's every citizen's duty to contribute in keeping our environment clean and healthy by working together to preserve clean water and the natural beauty of all of our surroundings. Beyond the aesthetic value, clean water is a basic and essential need for all life. It's a chance to showcase our many recreational opportunities. Rockingham County is home to 4 rivers that are all accessible now, 2 state parks, multiple outfitters and campgrounds, endless trails, creeks, and opportunities to support tourism. The visitors to and from within the county spent over $75 million in 2019. Our willingness to recognize, clean, and protect our attractive features only supports the image of Rockingham County to tourism and to the residents here also. Though Creek Week's only a single week, it's an excellent opportunity to inspire positive change by creating better habits. By being active and supporting the idea of Creek Week, we may spark or reignite a passion for our outdoors. The goal is for everyone to gain hands-on awareness of the significant resources we have and develop a better understanding of how we can maintain them for us and for our future residents. We are going to kick off the week in Stoneville, Saturday, April 11th at Fall Creek Falls, now part of the Mayo State Park. We have some commitments from several other groups, lots of residents. Last I checked, we have about 50 folks that are wanting to come out. We lead a cleanup, an enjoyment, and a little picnic, just something family-friendly and fun. The county doesn't have to organize any kind of activity, spend any kind of money at, not the bare minimum, but a good start would just to be encourage other groups to do something. Even if it's on your own street, a park that you visit every day, a park that you haven't visited before, it doesn't matter if it's stream bed or bank, all the trash that we see in our county goes to the waterways. And that's one of the huge benefits we have to tourism, to residents, to improving the tax base, and to having something to offer to our kids. Thank you very much.
Do we have a proclamation?
Go ahead.
I think I got a resolution y'all had for Stokes County.
Yes, I visited Stokes County Commissioners last month.
Is there any way you can get that resolution updated and get it to us so we can pass it at our next meeting?
Absolutely. The resolution, the draft that they requested, I bring to them, was actually based somewhat on one that they passed, I think, in 2016 for the Big Sweep, which is a very similar thing. It's just another proactive community engagement tool. But it's more specific to water resources, more of an awareness that, not only is the litter on your street, unattractive, it goes into your water supply.
Mr. Chairman, can we get the resolution fixed and presented to us next week?
Well, I think Mr. Berger has a comment.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's,
In essence, what you said.
Okay.
yeah, I'm in agreement with Commissioner Travis to do that and bring it back at the next meeting, and when we have a chance for the attorney to read over it and just do it the proper procedure as Commissioner Travis had suggested, and then perhaps Mabel can advertise for you after that.
Great, yeah, we can offer assistance for graphic design, for marketing, any kind of thing in-house. It doesn't have to be our logo on the material like the logo that I sent you guys in the email. It can be branded with Rockingham County, with the board committee, whoever wants to get involved. I think the town of Reedsville is going to get involved as well.
Well, I'm seeing everybody up here on this board nodding in agreement there, so you can anticipate when we put the agenda together, Mr. Vice Chair, that we include a proclamation for Creek Week, and we will keep you informed.
Excellent. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Poyer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more speaker, Linda Wilson. You can pull it down if you're, there you go.
Good evening. My name is Linda Wilson. I live in Martinsville, Virginia, Axton to be precise, but I spend most of my time here in Rockingham County at the Mark currently. I'm the director of We Care, which is Wentworth Center for Active Retirement and Education. I have two purposes here tonight. My main purpose is to thank all of you for your support in getting us in the museum. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. And I just can't thank you enough for that. And the second reason I'm here is we need a little bit of maintenance on the building, which I'm sure you're aware of. We do have bathrooms now, and that has helped us tremendously because we have, for instance, we have a man that only has one leg. So it was difficult for him to get to the restroom. And now he doesn't have that problem. We're currently trying to move up to the 3rd floor, and he's not going to have a problem going up to the 3rd floor, but we requested the bathroom get fixed, and it was fixed immediately, and I appreciate that. The problem is the heat, though. We don't know whether to dress for a cold room or a hot room. And we raise the windows, we turn on fans, we can't turn off, there are no knobs on the radiators to turn them off. And it's a little uncomfortable for some of these people. As most of you know, we have one senior that's going to be 100 in a couple of days. And he goes up and down those stairs with no problem either. It's amazing. And I just want to say, without these seniors, just for my own personal learnings, I went with them on a day trip to the Billy Graham Library last week. I would never have taken that time for myself at this point in my life. And I went, and I had the best time. It was so inspirational. And I have one of my seniors teaches sign language, and she was able to sign when someone walked up to us to sing. The man sang, and she signed. These are just some of the things that are going on at We Care just because of your help and because of my senior support. I mentioned that we need something, and they help me get it done, just as you do. And I'd like to see this program keep growing. Every day, every class, every week, somebody new comes to us. It is amazing, the difference. It was meant to be for We Care. It really, really was. We were very sad when we came to you because of what closed, but it's better for us. If we could just get some maintenance done at the museum, I think it would be perfect, a perfect fit at the museum. When I tell people that I have senior citizens inside the museum, they say, it couldn't be a museum of archives, could it? And I say, yes. It's quite funny if you think about it, but it's quite appropriate as well. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that, Ms. Wilson. Sounds like they may have been in collusion with Jeff.
That sounds like
We see your innocent smile.
that sounds like a Fletcher deal there.
Well, since we're talking about it, item 8 on your agenda, it's Matthew Titchener. If you would, sir.
There we go. Okay, let me try and set this up. Okay, so firstly, thank you for giving myself and the Mark an opportunity to speak. This does tag on to the end of what Linda just said. But most people already know the Mark already, but I'll provide a short recap, an update of who we are, and more importantly, why we're here as well. I've been told that this has to be very brief, and don't worry, it will be. So if you've got any questions at the end, please do ask myself. Colleagues Jeff and Fletcher will be happy to answer those. And if you want any digital copies of anything that you've seen, I'll be happy to provide those too. So as you know, we occupy the old courthouse, National Historic Preservation Site built in 1907. The museum opened in 2012 with County Commission support and the Rockingham County Historical Society support, and we now operate 4 days a week open to the public. We have 3 staff members, 17 board members, over 80 volunteers now, and around 300 members from around the US. We welcome schools across the county for tours and workshops such as law and order, judicial role-playing activities in our historic courtrooms, and many other youth groups, including active involvement with the Scouts, and who've also completed Eagle Scout projects for us, and continue helping us with the outdoor trails. We've hosted a variety of programs throughout the year celebrating Rockingham County, from our Bluegrass Music Festival, Picking at the Mark, to food tasting talks, to workshops helping people trace their local family history. We're listed as the #1 cultural heritage attraction within the county, and the only one in Wentworth. expertise within the MARC and our collections archives have proven invaluable not only for engaging exhibits, but as a vital educational resource. Researchers, amateur genealogists, and countless individuals have inquired and used our museum and our archives, such as Speedwell, the oldest Presbyterian church in the county, and they've benefited working with us, learning more about the early religious background of the county, urban development and personal histories as well. Consequently, the MARC is the meeting centre for many groups, such as the Daughters of the American Revolution, the Dan River Basin Association, the Hotbots Youth Robotics Club, not to mention our close work with the We Care Senior Citizens, who also occupy part of the courthouse, offering a variety of classes and events and give much to the local community. So a little bit about the MARC portfolio. We own and run the historic 1816 Wright Tavern, which has been restored and is the venue for several events and forms part of our educational and adult tours. We also run the High Rock, which is the historic park with the walking trail, river access for kayaking and canoeing, which was opened in 2018 by the MARC through securing the $61,500 grant from Duke Energy Foundation. We also own another piece of land, which is the historic Ironworks. Sorry, go back. Which is another historic site, and with future plans, hopefully working with the city of Reesville to turn it into potentially another historical park as well. And of course, we're in the old courthouse. We do use the jail, but only as storage, as unfortunately the interior is in need of extensive work. And so that kind of brings us on to our HVAC system. So, as one might expect, it is historic, parts of it older than some of our artefacts. And currently the county gives us the stipend, as you know, $50,000 a year towards the cost of utility bills. Now, with county maintenance team, we cannot credit enough, again, going off what Linda said with We Care, for their hard work fixing leaks, valves, pipes, other HVAC and building issues. They've been absolutely brilliant. But as you can see, there's only so much that patching can do. So leaks are becoming, unfortunately, more frequent and issues with the system. And unfortunately, there is just a band-aid on a larger issue, essentially. And so you can see here, there's some pictures that we took around some of the HVAC system with rusting pipes, pipes that have been patched extensively, thermostats and valves that are missing, and steam pipes warping the floors. And there's also air in the system, which makes it very inefficient and very costly as well. And as Linda said, hot spots and cold spots. The MARC, along with the county, obviously spent a significant amount of funds when they first converted the courthouse into suitable galleries and restoring the original parts of the structure. And since then, the MARC has continued that hard work, trying to make savings costs where possible. For instance, replacing all of the museum lights with LEDs, which saves us a lot of money. And we try to limit the stress on the system as much as possible. But it was pretty obvious that a more permanent solution needed to be found. And the MARC explored various options and expert opinions on ways to update the HVAC system that range from a $50,000 quote to a $1.3 million quote, neither of which the MARC has the capital to put down for. However, Centec came up with the most pragmatic approach, which was a staged maintenance plan focusing on the most immediate concerns. The first essential stage would be $53,600, with the whole total project around $224,600, which is a lot of money. But the MARC worked very hard to try and source potential funding to help with these costs, and we actually successfully secured a $25,000 matching grant from the Marion Stedman Covington Foundation. So we are respectfully seeking county support in at least matching the $25,000, in effect doubling the county's contribution for the much needed work that directly affects so many interested parties. And it will not only save us money in utilities, but it will also save the county money for more frequent and costly repairs and maintenance. And so we hope that this will get the ball rolling in the large staged project, and that we hope that you'll continue to support the MARC and the vital community work that we do and secure the longevity of Rockingham County's cultural heritage. Thank you very much for your time. If you've got any questions. please ask.
Question, gentlemen.
I got one.
Yes, sir.
Well, I got a couple. Am I correct in saying the total project's $224,000?
Yeah,
And you
that's
want us
correct.
to match $25,000 tonight?
To start the ball rolling, yeah. On the first stage is $53,600. So we want to start the ball rolling on that first stage.
So if we give you $25,000, that's almost committing me to $224,000.
It at least addresses the immediate concerns, whether we search for other funding options for the rest of the stages, certainly. But it addresses the most immediate concerns that are worrying the mark.
Jeff had some.
Please, yeah.
A little clarification. As it was mentioned in the presentation, the proposal from Syntec was a staged repair, so that's essentially prioritized. So the $25,000 isn't coming to us, it would be coming to the county. It would give you a total of at least $50,000, depending on how much, if you match the whole thing.
No,
or
give me a
add
total
to
of
it.
25, because I'm adding 25 to it.
Right. Well, yeah, the county would be spending 25 and getting 25 from
Right.
the Marion Stedman Covington Foundation. What you do with that money in that building is up to you. Except that all you want to spend is the $50,000 or $53,000, then that's your decision. You don't have to follow the Syntec plan. I'm sure you'd want to work with your own staff to develop some priorities. We presented the $224,000 total just to give you, that was in that range of from $50,000 to $1.3 million. If you wanted to try to tackle the whole thing, that's what you would aim for. But we understand that there's not that kind of money for this particular project at this time. But if you want to get a good start on it, accepting the $25,000 grant and matching it should be more than a Band-Aid, even if it's less than the total fix.
Right. Well, the problem is with that is if we give you 25,000, that's committing us to start working on your stages without our staff even looking at what's the problems out there anyway. So I'm assuming that you already had 3 quotes presented, right?
No, we're not getting the work done. The money comes to you. It's the county's money.
Okay.
So no, we have not done, we did preliminary work in the sense of having somebody come in and give us an idea of what needed to be done. We had to put something on the grant application to try to receive the money. So we know that there are HVAC problems. Some of them have been identified.
Right.
How you want to address that is up to you. And
Okay.
it doesn't have to even be in this year's budget. It'd be nice to start on it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But the money is available to the county until August of 2021. So if
Okay.
you want to talk to staff before you
Yeah, I definitely
take a
wanna
vote, then
yeah.
that's fine. We're not asking for a decision
Right.
tonight. We want to give you the information, let you know that there's $25,000 available
Okay.
to you if you match it.
Which I have no problem with that. I just want to make sure our staff was involved in this process because that's who I rely on.
And they should be.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Hall.
I'd like to call on Ronnie Tate. Mr. Tate, you've heard the presentation tonight. Should the Board of Commissioners elect to match this grant, would that money be effective? Would it be enough to be useful, or would it be good money after bad?
That's a loaded question, I think. I think our approach, my suggestion and our staff suggestion would be, I think, if the board elected to move forward with this, was we had gotten a price from the same mechanical engineering firm that looked at the repairs at the animal shelter. So we have a quote for them to come in and look at the whole system and design a system for us to solve all the problems.
Okay.
I'm not sure I've seen what they're proposing here, but our thought was if we had a design, we could start then with approaching the board, hey, we need this much per year, to hopefully we can get it resolved or get it fixed.
Okay.
But without that design or that plan, I would be hesitant to, I don't know that I would support spending the money, because I think you need a design in place and a plan in place to fix it. And I would be scared we would piecemeal it
All right.
and not fix the overall problem.
With that being said, I'd like to address that again to the museum board. Could these funds be used to help develop this plan and this design? Would that be possible?
It would need to meet the criteria of the grant application. I'm not familiar with all the details. Fletcher or Matthew? Yeah, it might not pay for the design, but it would be towards fixing actual HVAC problems at in that building.
Well, I guess one of the questions I have, do we have time to investigate that before this needs to be decided on, or are we at the...
Until August of 2021. So almost a year and a half.
Okay, we got plenty of time.
Personally, I'd like to see us investigate that.
Question.
Mr. Purtle.
August 2021, is that the time that the grant money has to be spent? What is the date that we have to acknowledge acceptance of this grant? You see what I'm saying? When must we acknowledge that we want the grant and receive the funding? You know, I got a feeling that there's probably a date that you have to expend the funds, but there's a date earlier that you have to accept the funds, let them know, or they will go to the next recipient.
Yeah, and that's not an immediate date. That would be some time off. So,
But you're not sure the date that you have to.
I can't imagine that it would be in 2020.
Not that you expend it, but you have to let the folks know that you want the money.
And we've been in touch with them just in the last month to verify that it was still August of 2021. So I don't see an issue with that. I mean, if you're going to take over a year to make that decision, we'd want to get back to them, but I don't see that happening. I think y'all would decide pretty quickly what you want to do.
Yeah. I just was wondering what the date that you have to, what the acceptance date was. But I
We
have
can check
another
on
comment.
that, but I'm not sure that it's a different date from the
I have another
August 2020.
comment, Mr. Chair. It seems like if we're going to keep that mark operating, and we have $25,000 that we're going to be able to match,
Right.
regardless if it's in design or implementation of the project, it would be wise upon us to accept that money and then move forward with utilizing county staff to work with the folks at the mark to find a resolution to the issues that are facing them with the heat situation for the We Care group
right.
back here. So
Exactly
I see nothing but an upside in accepting this money.
And I've got
Commissioner Travis.
Oh, I'm in agreement with Commissioner Purtle. I think we should go ahead and accept the grant, but proceed with our staff to
Absolutely.
start the step process and give Ronnie Tate some direction to go ahead and proceed with that.
What's in our building, I don't think I could work on it anyway.
That's right.
Commissioner Berger.
Well, I completely agree with Commissioner Purtle. If we're going to keep that building and keep people in the building, we can turn $25,000 into $50,000. That's smart budgeting. I mean, the only other thing we would, if we're not going to do that, we've got to find a place for those folks to go. Those folks being the robotics team, the We Care folks. So we've got to make a decision. Do we want, and the mark, I don't want to.
I was assuming.
In addition.
In addition. But if we're going to have that in the old courthouse, then we need to do what's necessary to make those folks comfortable. If we're not going to have it in the old courthouse, then we need to find a location for those folks to hold their meetings, to hold their events, to hold the archives. So, I mean, I guess the only open-ended part of that is, does it have to be spent on that building?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
I'm fine
So,
with that.
I mean, that's, yeah, and I'm fine with them being in that building, but I'm in complete agreement with Commissioner Purtle that.
Commissioner Berger.
I'd make a motion to accept the grant as presented.
I second.
Well,
Before we vote, it's been moved and seconded. Further comment, and this is my comment. I would think that this is something that needs to be built into the 2021 budget, and if we approve this motion here in a second, add that to Paul's laundry
move staff. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would add that to his list of things there. And include in that, Ronnie, if this is, in essence, some of this is going to be preventive maintenance, therefore there should be some cost saving down the road if we're doing preventive maintenance, and you would have to give us some advice on if we're getting some of that and how much that would be. Make sense? All right, motion's on the floor. Further comments?
I got
Mr.
one-
Purtle.
I got one comment. I know you talked about moving it out, but and this is up to the manager to evaluate our current financial status and see if we would be better suited using it into this year's budget where we know we have
Answer the
funding
question.
versus
Sure.
speculate on what we have next year. Sometimes our budget, if we have a good year, it may be more feasible to use it in this current budget than because we hadn't had any stormy days. And not wait until next year when we have some unforeseen expenditures.
Mr.
So-
Metzler.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it. I'll get with staff, and we'll find out some options for you all. But what I just want to say is I want to thank Mark. I mean, this is a gift to us. They did this on our behalf, so I really want to thank them for their efforts and doing this for us. We appreciate you doing it.
Well, we appreciate the support from the county. And I'll mention, too, not everybody was on the Board of Commissioners when the museum opened, but there is an agreement with the county on that $50,000 stipend that is paid towards utilities. That has been the same from the very beginning. That hasn't gone up. We haven't asked for any increases in that. And as Matthew mentioned, we've done some things in terms of automatic thermostats and LED lighting to try to keep the cost from rising so fast. So we're trying to make use of that $50,000. And that number was derived from studies that were done by the county prior to the museum opening, understanding that the building was going to be empty because the county had moved out of it. So to mothball it was estimated to cost $50,000 a year. The lease agreement calls for the county, instead of spending that on an empty building, to provide it to the museum for utility cost, and then maintenance was on top of that. But we appreciate what the county has done to support the museum, and now We Care and HotBots. We feel like we put some value back in that building. I think it's worth more being used like it is now than it would have been empty. So the $50,000 is a good value for the county, and like Mr. Metzler said, we're trying to help you on the other side too, but it's hard enough to raise operating funds, much less capital expenses.
We got you. The motion as it stands is to approve the grant request. Mr. Metzler?
Yes, sir.
The motion as it stands is to go ahead and approve this matching fund,
Yes.
if you would. Are you not in agreement?
Absolutely.
Okay, then the motion stands as it was stated.
Are you going to amend the motion to direct staff to come up with a design?
We'll handle it.
Or step design?
I didn't specifically say that, but I mean, it's our building, so it's going to be our staff.
That's SOP, right?
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay. Can we say that it's moved and seconded?
At least once.
Yes. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed by nay. Thank you, guys. And
Thank you.
I'm going to go a little bit out of order here because I know some people are going to bail out of here. But there's a lady present tonight, and that lady is Hazel Puckett, who has worked very diligently with the We Care program and was a longtime servant of this county working in this office. And Hazel, I just want to publicly recognize all that you've done for our senior citizens, for the MARC, and before that with our Department of Sanitation and everything else. You're a great citizen. Thank you much, Hazel Puckett. Ronnie Tate, you're responsible for item 9. Tell Mr. Don't spend it unless it's in the budget. To give fair warning in the future.
I'm just telling you, when you look at an expenditure like that, you better look at what you've done this year, and if you had any
Okay.
potholes or tissue
Sorry, I
next year.
pulled my PowerPoint up. Gentlemen, I have a presentation tonight for you. We've had a request from Good Stewards 5 LLC to request water main extension to a location on Gold Hill Road to a proposed subdivision there. And in your packet, you should have two ROI forms that I submitted to calculate the return on investment for those. And I'd like to just go over each of them here. I went on and just put them on a PowerPoint. Hopefully it'll be easier for everybody to see. So the track is on Gold Hill Road and Washburn Road. Option 1 is 23 homes. There are 23, would be what I list as primary water customers. Those are the ones in the subdivision. There would be 4 secondary customers. These would be parcels of property there across the street from the water line extension. There'd be 8 tap fees available with this option 1, 23 capacity fees. The line extension length is 3,900 linear feet. The project costing for this is $244,000. This came from Bill Lester with LKC. The estimated tax value per year upon completion of all the units is slightly below $52,000. And in calculating the ROI for this, I had to build out at 3 years at 8, 8, and 7, equal to 23. So if you look at the ROI calculations for this, I did it 250 gallons of water per day per home. Again, 8 tap fees, 23 capacity fees. We've got 1 lot with a well, but they would still be required to tap onto the new line. The ROI for this is 12 years when you calculate that. And my understanding is that the same number of homes could be constructed without public water. So that is option number 1. The second option, well, that's a copy of the ROI form there. So option 2 would be extending that line from the intersection of Gold Hill and Washburn Road, north on Washburn Road, to 10 lots that are on that road. So option 2, 33 homes, 33 primary water customers, and then 11 secondary customers, 18 tap fees, 33 capacity fees. The total line length now is just slightly over a mile at 5,300 linear feet. Project cost at $331,000, $74,000 a year upon completion of all homes and property tax value. In a build out, I've got 3 years, sorry, that's a typo, 4 years, 9, 8, 8, and 8 for 33 homes. And bear with me. ROI, the same calculations again. The ROI on this with the extension would be 11.1 years. Here is again, the ROI form we use. So staff recommendations, we understand that we do need customers. And to do that, we do understand that we have to provide lines and service. But given the long rate of return, along with the owner being able to construct the same amount of homes with or without county water, and with not having a dedicated funding source identified, staff would not recommend moving forward with this project at this time. And I'll be glad to take any questions and try to answer them as best I can for you.
Chairman.
Commissioner Travis.
It's my understanding, too, there's going to be a road built on this project. I guess it's about a half a mile of water lines being sent. Me and you discussed that, Ronnie. I think you said it's going to be under 10 years for ROI.
So I went back after you and I talked about this before the meeting. I tried to pull my notes back up. One of the original requests that I had was with that road being put in, and I think it was 24 homes. and the cost to run that line to that portion of the property was $212,000. With 24 homes, the ROI was 7.75 years. So with 18 homes I'm sorry. With 18 homes, the ROI is going to be greater than the 7 point. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. The ROI is going to be greater than the 7.75 years. If I had to guess, I don't have the calculations in front of me, but I would guess it's going to be right at 10, one way or the other.
Do you happen to have a map so the other commissioners can see the project, what we're talking about?
I do.
Can you put it on the screen?
I can try.
Well, the reason I say it, because what me and you talked about that's going to be right at 10 years ROI is at Providence Trail. That's the road he wants to construct. So it will cover all them houses right there, and that'll put us at a ROI below 10 years, and that's what the commissioners are really looking for. If you extend it down to Griffin Road, you're looking at an ROI of 12 years. Now, if you go up Griffin Road to where it ends, you're looking at 11.1 years of ROI.
Can you all see that now?
Can you see it on your, you see right here is Providence Road. If we run water lines to Providence Road, it's going to be right at 10 years. And if you run it to the end of the road or Griffin, that's 12 years ROI, and up, it'll be 11.1.
So if we go up, we're going to reduce the number of years and our return on investment.
Now, it was, when, from talking to Ronnie, he said if you go to Griffin, we could get below 10 years ROI if the customer pays $30,000. If you run it the whole project, we can get a ROI of 10 years for how much? $37,000. But it's up to the customer, and I don't think the county's approached the customer to talk to him about that.
You're aware of all of this.
Yes.
You may not be the best person to ask this question, but I'm thinking if we put the wells in there, or the potential customer puts wells instead, and then some of the land that adjoins this, I know is being scrutinized for development of the same type in the near future. No commitment, just being scrutinized. But if you already have the wells over there, we wouldn't have those customers running the same line to those potential customers. If we chose to do it, those would be lost. So I have a question. Do you have any idea about how much incentive the placement of this line would have on other developments beyond the one brought up here?
I'll make that recommendation.
The only, and maybe Lee might can speak to that better than I can. I've heard of some interest in one parcel that's to the south of Gold Hill Road.
Right.
Lee,
That's Ronnie's point, that's the only one.
Yeah.
About 90 acres that might potentially be on the market, but that would be more for residential type development.
You're just talking on the market and not proposed development, right?
Well, it's not on the market yet.
I think
There's opportunity for some, about 90 acres of land.
That's good.
And I think if we heard that correctly, there has to be a death in the family and those types of things to sell.
No, I don't want to speculate.
I don't speculate.
But in general, this board recently had a workshop where we were looking at this very thing, and placement of water lines incentivizes development. And so that's the question. Mr. Travis.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, we're constantly looking for customers to be on our water line to reach that that revenue neutral for our water system. It's my recommendation, if the customer's in agreement, I would definitely want to go ahead and just do the whole project if the customer's in agreement with the payback.
That would be with him picking up the $37,000.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Other comments from the commissioners? Questions?
I guess, so where does that number come from?
The 37,000? When I run the return on investment calculations, once you get past the years of build out and get past where you're collecting tap and capacity fees, if you look at the revenues over expenditures and what the declining balance is in the actual construction amount, that number becomes a constant number. And so to get below, you take that constant number and just multiply it times 1.1 years for the large project, and that gives you $37,000.
What, if any, incentive would he have to do that? Because these, as you look at the map that you didn't provide, which is to get to the property and see what all you cross, would that not kind of be a big benefit to a couple of property owners at the expense of another one?
So you're talking about the ones to the east of Washburn Road and south? Yes, it would.
Depends on which route you go, but.
Yes. If we had requests for any of them for water, we've never had a request from anybody other than this applicant on Washburn Road or Gold Hill Road for water.
Well, you got water. Ain't no water lines, so I don't think it.
Well, the ones that are parceled off to the east of Washburn, there are homes on those, and so they would have wells. I think there is only one, and I'm not even sure it's a residence, one structure on Gold Hill, and it would have a well.
And I haven't, obviously, Mr. Chair, I don't see it broke down on my map, the parcels on Gold Hill, if it's more than one parcel, if it's one big parcel or multiple smaller parcels.
There's 4 on Gold Hill from 220 to Griffin Road.
To Griffin Road.
Yes, sir.
And then there's, if I go up Washburn Road all the way to, we can make it right, a little Bluebird Lane. I count to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Was that 7 parcels? On the
east side.
On the east side. That would benefit from the developer paying the lump sum to get our return on investment down to 12 years, or down to a manageable number. My concern is we need users. We sit and talk about the value of the homes, and that goes into the ad valorem. We need water customers, and that's what we need to offset our enterprise fund. We don't need bigger houses so we can move more money from the revenue from the general fund to the enterprise fund.
That's right.
We need water users.
That's right.
So 33 homes sounds better to me than 23. Though I am concerned about the return on investment. We've dipped our toe into the water business. Previous boards have dipped their toe into the water business, and hence we are now spending money out of our general fund to subsidize our enterprise fund, and we're going to continue to do that through what, 2032?
Yep.
Yeah,
But
How is this, the funds that we would expend, have you gone to Pat and amortized it over the rate? Because unlike what Commissioner Pearl is talking about, that is a continuing losing proposition at this point, this is actually a money-making proposition that would be amortized over 12 years or perhaps less if the principal is reduced by the developer. You look kind of blank. Did you understand that question?
I've spoken to Pat about getting the money, and I think we've only talked about pulling it out of fund balance. That's the only conversations we've had. We haven't looked at a whether to finance it or not.
Well, it should be making money. If you can pay this thing off in 12 years,
It will.
You should be making money on this investment, unlike the
Right.
stuff
Exactly.
Mr. Pearl
You
was
will.
talking about, where it's a dog that's not getting any healthier right now.
The ROI form is just strictly to inform the board of what that return is based solely on the revenues, tap fees, capacity fees, meter set fees, and the sale of water, just for this particular project. That's what the ROI form encompasses.
Got you. Commissioner Hall.
Mr. Tate, in looking at that calculation, you had a few sheets back. It looks like you've done that over a 3 and a 4 year period. Is that right?
I think for the 23 homes, I think I did it over 3 years.
Yeah, you did.
And for the 33, I did it over 4 years.
So I guess my question is, if the property owner is pretty aggressive and pushes that and gets that done in 2 years, built out, we could see a payback faster. The taxpayer could see a
Yes,
payback
sir.
faster. Okay.
I did a little math, and I'm seeing $62 a running foot for this water. I assume this is 8-inch line?
It's a 6-inch line.
6-inch line?
Yes, sir.
Which would have an ultimate capacity of handling how many homes?
That's a Bill Lester question. I do not know. I can find out for you.
It's a lot more than the 33, so.
Yes.
I got a question, Mr. Chair. I know we're talking about and this is a developer question with Ronnie, I know your conversations with him. I imagine that what we're looking at, he's looking at doing this in stages. They're going to do the first build out in and around the Providence Trail and go up towards the Griffin Road, and then the next stage would be up the Washburn Road area. Is that what I understand is going to take place?
I think Mr. Rexstraw probably should answer that for you. I'm not sure about that.
And I say that because, Mr. Manager, you and I had a conversation one time before about developers. We given them some type of document or some type of document talking about our intention that they can use that as some type of collateral towards their growth if we
That's right.
acknowledge that we're going to run the water line. If you build it, it will come type of scenario. Is that did we have that conversation?
Yeah, we did. And if the developer has that commitment from the board, then it's more likely that they'll be able to do what they need to do.
That was my question.
It sounds to me, before I'm willing to give a head nod or a shake off, we need to have just a little more conversation with the developer.
Well,
I mean, if he's, it's a lot more attractive if he does the 37,000 up front.
yeah, but my problem with that, Mr. Chair, is that we're asking the developer to do the 37,000, but the folks on the east side of the road that will benefit just as much will not have any skin in the game.
Yeah, you're right.
Question.
Mr. Berger?
So part of your return on investment includes the tap fees?
Yes, sir.
And
Now, let me qualify that. That would be tap fees outside of the subdivision because the water lines run inside the subdivision are the responsibility of the developer. And they would install the taps at that time and not incur a tap fee. But they would have a capacity fee.
all right, so which ones are you defining as outside the development?
I got it right here.
That'd be everything just on Providence Road, Providence Trail. Would that be everything?
Commissioner Berger, it's the ones marked in green.
Green.
The green X.
So how much would we collect on those 8 customers? Tap fees?
$17,600.
So make it even 20,000. Be done with it.
This is not an auction. Well, gentlemen, we had a workshop and we did some discussion, and we agreed that we needed, we put in some guidelines in our ordinance, but we agreed that that was to give us the flexibility to deal with things on a case-by-case basis. So I would say the developer needs a yay or nay answer.
Can I add one more thing, if you all are considering a vote on this? What we would do is if the board voted to approve this, we would work with the legal department to come up with an agreement between the county and the developer to where the developer would agree to build the number of homes as stated in the return investment form. They would be at the minimum value stated in the ROI form and agree to build the minimum number of homes per year to complete them in the designated time frame. And the time period for this agreement would start once the water lines were run to the property and certified by the state of North Carolina as able to serve those properties. In the event the developer did not complete the amount of homes in that amount of time, we would assign a cost per home fee, which would be due back to the county after the expiration of this agreement, if those homes were not constructed.
Yeah, that all makes sense to me. Gentlemen, one other thing we discussed during our workshop is, in general concept, the county would take water lines to a property, and within the property, that was the developer's responsibility. If we're asking for $30,000 or $37,000 or any other figure to construct this 6-inch line that's outside the property, we're not adhering to
That's true.
that sort of.
That's true.
That's true. Well, and part of this proposal goes beyond the edge of the property.
It does, and I understand what Commissioner Pirtle's saying, but that's just a natural phenomenon. The road that comes to my house, has been lengthened and paved on down the road, and those folks getting the full benefit of that, though they weren't part of the initial cost,
Yeah, but you didn't have to pay the initial cost.
Yeah, we did. We did. Actually, my grandfather did.
Make a motion, Reese.
My concern, Mr. Chairman, is that although I think $39,000 is a tremendous amount of money, I don't feel comfortable asking the developer to, and this is me, come up with matching funding for that to run that line up. And I lost my place. What's the up to the Bluebird Lane? And we need as many homes as we could. So.
Yep.
Let me go ahead and make a motion.
Well, I think I agree with you on that point, and I would like to be consistent with that.
I know, but we said we'd look at each one based on the totality of the circumstances of that unique case.
The entire project.
That being said, I'll make a motion. We approve option number 2.
I'll second that motion.
Further discussion. Looking at our engineer buddy here.
My only question is, Lance, this goes through, where would the money come from?
Fund balance.
Okay. And our last report from Pat indicated we were in fairly healthy shape.
Yes, sir.
Has anything changed since that report?
No, sir.
We get back, is it going right back in the fund balance?
Would you guys like to hear the developer's assessment of how rapidly this would be developed, or are you happy to vote where we stand now?
I got it. Just got a quick question for Lance. Lance, if we take the funds out of fund balance to pay for this project, as the funds come in over to ROI, is that fund going back into fund balance, or is it going to general fund? Or is it going to land?
It's going to go to the enterprise fund.
Enterprise fund.
Yep.
Enterprise, that's, you're expanding you're using, at this point in time, you're using general funds to make improvements to infrastructure that will support your enterprise fund. The revenue as a result of that will have to go into enterprise fund, and it can't flow back the other way.
Because right now, we're putting a penny into the enterprise fund. We're just trying to figure out ways to put less than a penny in.
But, Mr. Chairman, keep in mind, anything we do to our enterprise fund is going to come from our general fund because it can't sustain itself right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Correct.
Okay, my second still stands.
We have a motion to approve. It does not include the $39,000 or any contribution from the developer. I would make the observation that, yes, it is going to take a while to pay this off, but in essence, it's making money, unlike some of our others.
That's right.
Are there other questions or points we need to cover? Ready to call a question? Seeing no further conversation, all in favor of approval indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed by nay. Is that good enough? Thank you.
Thank you.
And just make the observation, I found that to be very useful conversation to make comparison points. Item 10 has been dropped. Mr. Manager.
No, sir, no new business.
No new business. Commissioner comments, starting with Commissioner Travis.
You stay down.
I missed his chance. Commissioner Purtle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the folks from the MARC being here tonight, and We Care, and appreciate everything you guys do. And I challenge you, if you haven't had an opportunity, Jeff gave me a tour, a private tour of the MARC, and I was very impressed. And I think he set the temperature as cold that day just to impress on me the need for the HVAC system. But if you do have an opportunity to go through that facility, it's a hidden gem in Rockingham County. And one of the things I asked him was to make sure that we have some elementary kids touring that facility from time to time, and I know they do. And the only other thing I'll say is tomorrow is Election Day, our primary here in Rockingham County. It's a Super Tuesday here in Rockingham County. So please, go out and vote, exercise your right. It's most important, one of the most important things you do is let your voice be heard. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Berger.
Yeah, thank everyone for coming. I echo his comments. I've had the opportunity to visit with the We Care folks on 2 occasions the last couple of months and have enjoyed those visits. Appreciate them showing up tonight and glad we could find a resolution to part of their problem. So, thank you.
Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate everyone's attendance tonight. I'd like to recognize some of our community leaders and volunteers. In attendance tonight, we had Amanda Bell, who's on our school board, and we've also had Dennis Pascal, who's on the town council for Wentworth. Appreciate you guys being here. Additionally, we had Brenda Ward, retired town clerk. She was here earlier. We appreciate her attendance. We also had Jeff Bullins, who was a former mayor for the town of Mayodan. We appreciate you being here as well, although in a different capacity tonight. And again, we've got Tony Reese and Bonnie Ferguson from our Board of Elections. Thank you guys for being here. I'd like to appreciate county staff. We've got probably half a dozen or better department managers here tonight. Thank you guys for being here. I'd like to wish Paul Pruitt a 100-year birthday this month. So congratulations to him. And as Reese said, thank you for the MARC board members, volunteers, We Care volunteers, and clients. And again, be sure to get out and vote. It's one of the most important things you can do as a citizen. So we appreciate it. Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Trapp.
Thank you, everybody, for being out tonight. Get out there and vote, and wish my fellow commissioners a good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Thanks for all that attended. We appreciate that. Lots of good comments tonight, lots of input from the community. If you haven't read an article that came into the Rockingham section of the News and Record yesterday of Ron, talking about Ron Norwood, I would recommend it to you because Ron Norwood was our Rockingham County champion as of last July. And if you look at the list of things that he's done over time, I feel like my efforts have paled in significance. He's just done a great job, so I would commend that to you, and congratulations to Mrs. Fish and to Ron. Mrs. Fish wrote the article. Right. Gentlemen, we need to go into closed session and would look for, if you look at item 13, a motion to do so.
So moved.
Moved in accordance as published. Do we have a second?
Second.
And seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. We are going to go into closed session. When I slam this gavel, you can stay around, but I don't think we're going to have much of anything else to share after that. So thanks to all of you. We will move to closed session.